Okay, welcome back again. Uh, so now we're going to begin Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is different than the rest of the chapters. Chapter 1 has to do with this thing of building a collector, which means we're going to design something that will collect data for us. And after we get that done, then we're going to spend the rest of all the other chapters are about analyzing data. So Chapter 1 is just sort of a technical tool that we get that teaches us how to, or that actually collects data for us. And it's good for you to learn how to do this. This is one way to collect data from a website, and it can be very useful to you. You can use it to collect data anywhere on any website. So anyway, but it's different than the rest of the chapters. But let's get started with this. So actually, before I go through the chapter piece by piece, I just want to start with some Excel stuff, because that's where we're building this collector. And let's just do a little examination of some of the stuff that we're going to be using. For example, let's see, is this worth looking at? Well, just this if statement. So you should know what an if statement is. So let me bring up Excel here. And let me put in an if statement. So first I'll enter these two values into these two cells. We have 55 in cell E5 and 95 in cell E6. Okay, now let me put in if statement. So to type an if statement, you have to type equals first, and then if. I don't think it really matters if you put capitals or not. And then I'm going to say if this cell, so I just click on it, is greater than 65, then, so you put comma. The way that you put the then is you put a comma, and then you type what you want to show in the cell. If it's greater in what I want to show in F5, if E5 is greater than 65. So suppose I want to write pass. If you want to have a text in there like the word pass, you have to put quotation marks around it. And then if it's not, then you can type what you want to be in there if it's not true. So this will go in there if it's greater than 65, and this will go in there if it's not. So what should go in here? Well, it's not greater. E5 is not greater than 65, so it should be false. Whoops, I don't mean false. Fail. Should be fail. So I hit enter, and it gives us fail because it's not greater than 55. Now if I copy this formula here, it's going to say pass, and that's because now it says if E6 is greater than 65, then pass and fail. Okay, so then it's pass. Now one other thing you should know, I'm not sure when we're going to use this, but is that when I copied this formula down, when I went from here to there like that, notice that now it says E6, whereas here the original one said E5. That's what I wanted. But if I didn't want that, I could have put a $ here in front of here, and now the 5 won't become a 6 when you copy. So let's see if that's really true. So if I now have a $ in front of the 5, now if I copy this down, what happens? So before, when I copied it down, it became E6, and so we got pass because E6 is greater than 65. But now if I copy it down, it's still going to be fail because it's still going to be referring to E5. In other words, this number is not going to increment when I copy it down. Let's see if that's true. Okay, so check it. It still says E5 here. So if you don't want that when you're copying, if you don't want the thing to change, then you put a $ in front of it. Another example would be here. if I put a dollar sign in front of the E, and when I copy, so okay, let's just see that. So now I have a dollar sign in front of the E as well. Now if I copy to the right, you would think that the E would be incremented to G. I'm sorry, the E would be incremented to F, because it's E going to be incremented to F if I copy to the right, but it won't because I have the dollar sign in front. So if I do it now, it's still going to say E5 or dollar sign E5, dollar sign 5. Let's see if that's true. It's still going to say dollar sign E and dollar sign 5. So that's just a note how you can, if you want to use the copy and you want to be able to have a little bit more control over the copy. By copy I mean just dragging. Then you can use those dollar signs if you want to stop it from incrementing. Usually you don't want to stop it from incrementing. Okay, so that is but basically I wanted to talk about the if statement actually. So we've used it now. So if, and then what goes here is now whenever you have any, so if, you can always get help on this, I think. Let's see, well, here's the help, I guess. So it gives you some explanation. So you can say the logical test comes first, and then the value that you want to appear if it's true, and the value you want to appear if it's false. Okay? So that is the if statement. Okay, doesn't like it that way, so I'll just delete it. Okay, so here we have an if statement. You can see the criteria is not if the cell is greater than whatever I said, 65, but it's rather if this is greater than 0.1. So this calculation, whatever happens to be in this cell, this cell, this cell, then you subtract this minus this divided by that. If that happens to be greater than 0.1, then we're going to show a 1, and otherwise we're going to show a 0. So we don't know what this comes from yet, but I just want to review the Excel part of this right now. Okay, there are some other functions. There are two other functions that Excel has. One finds the minimum from a range of cells. So if you put in a range of cells, it'll tell you the minimum value in that range of cells. And the sum function will sum up all of the values in that range of cells. So here's an example. So here's a range of cells from J5 to, what is this, J1 million, right? From J5 to J1 million. So that's a big range of cells. But anyway, we can sum it up. Okay? So we can sum up all of the values in all of those cells. Okay, so those are two functions that we can use, and all you have to do is put in a range of cells in there, and then it will do it. Remember, you have to put the equal sign in first, and then you'll get the result. Okay, let me stop here and come back to the next video.